Well, 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 well. It's the new year, and it's a new bunch of crap coming out of Hollywood. Let's go to the home of crap, Hollywood, California, and Michael Snyder, who reviews all the crap. Yes, Michael, hey. How are you?
Mr. Positive, as ever. What a way to kick off the new year. We've been taking a little break, and actually this is a catch-up. We're going to talk about some films that were opened on Christmas week, and you kind of hope their presence. You want to, hey, this was a gift from the cinema community, but not always the case. So we have 3 biopics, or docudramedies if you prefer, and a contemporary film noir, and let's get to them. Vice is a strange case. It's the latest movie from Adam McKay, writer-director of the Anchorman films and Step Brothers, to name a few of his genuinely funny hit comedies. And his most recent film was the fantastic, super smart, piercingly satirical, true-life tale of the U.S. mortgage housing crisis of 2005-2007, The Big Short. And I love this film, and it was a real change of pace for him. Pretty serious, despite the comedy. It won awards and deserved them. Now he's back with another docudramedy telling the story of that rat bastard Dick Cheney, a self-serving political weasel who turned his vice presidency in the George W. Bush administration into his own lucrative power play. Christian Bale, oh my God, his performance as Cheney, both young and old, it's a wonder to behold and worth the price of admission, as they say. And Sam Rockwell, it is fantastic as W. He's a little closer to what I recall of that POS than Josh Brolin's George W. Bush in that biopic that came out a couple years back. And he's more of a hoot, too. You get Amy Adams, solid as Lynn Cheney. You get a marvelous turn from Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld. So much better here as part of an ensemble than as the lead dog trying to carry the cringe-inducing Welcome to Marwin, which was released a week before Vice, so the comparison is there and odious. But ultimately, it's hard to care about these less than admirable people, despite McKay's attempts to humanize them here and there. Vice is not a nice movie about nice people. Well made, compelling at times, but it would be nice to have had somebody to care about here, even a little, at the heart of the story. Okay.
No, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I've seen this picture.
Okay, weigh in on it.
And
then.
Apparently we didn't see the same movie.
Okay, tell me.
This is one of many films that, unfortunately, as I looked at the screeners from SAG, was a major piece of crap. It is a terrible movie. It has no direction. Just because Christian Bale gained weight doesn't necessarily say it's a great acting tour de force. Sam Rockwell's very good as Bush, but really what we're seeing are a bunch of impressions all wrapped up in a picture that really goes nowhere.
Right. Basically, you're saying what I said, only being meaner about it. That's about that. That's, we're on the same page about this. The film didn't work for me. I didn't care about anybody.
Yeah. Okay. On to the next film.
With Nicole Kidman kind of uglied up and kind of twisted up, almost as radically as Charlize Theron in Monster, Destroyer kind of gets your attention, like it or not. Then it plays out as kind of a dark, flawed, but pretty engaging modern-day film noir about an L.A. police detective whose past sins are catching up to her. It's directed by Karen Kusama of Girl Fight fame, and it's kind of a take-no-prisoners affair that is as far as a feel-good holiday movie can be, despite its Christmas Day release. I mean, I can't believe they put this out at Christmas. And it tanked pretty much. Erin is the character played by Kidman, and she'd have no problem kind of cold cocking Mary Poppins, especially since the Poppins sequel did real business over the holidays, as you'd expect. And this thing did virtually none. But regardless of who's kind of gobbling down box office sugar, Destroyer was a far more satisfying film for me, even if it's so removed from something so light and sweet as Mary. It's just it just worked for me. Now, is it great? No, it's not great. But the cast here is uniformly fine. And in addition to Kidman, who plays against type as you've kind of never seen her before, Bradley Whitford is kind of chilling as a wealthy, questionable lawyer. And Tatiana Maslany, a wonderful chameleon-like star of Orphan Black on TV. She's virtually unrecognizable in a gritty performance as a drugged-up gang moll under the spell of a dangerous but charismatic creep. Kidman is on screen for most of the movie, and she gives her all, despite some familiar beats that take this down a number of notches. As a genre movie, it hits more than it misses. So I think it's something that might have life on video. We shall see. Again, that's Destroyer. On the Basis of Sex is a biopic of sorts telling the story of the young Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a feisty Jewish-American woman trying to break into the legal field many years before her crucial appointment to the Supreme Court. When I first heard that the rising, proper, thoroughly modern British actress Felicity Jones was cast as Ginsburg, I thought it seemed odd, but Jones and Armie Hammer, as Ruth's devoted husband and fellow lawyer Marty Ginsburg, do fine in what is essentially the story of Ruth's struggles to rise above the oppression of her male mentors. And I use the word mentor loosely. She wants to make her mark with what would prove to be her most significant early case, one that involved gender discrimination appropriately enough. I mean, this is a little flat on the TV movie side, something that Oprah might produce for ABC. It's a little by the book, but the acting and the message are worth embracing if it's the sort of thing that you enjoy or are curious about. And by the way, Sam Waterston does some nice work as Erwin Griswold, the lead male chauvinist a-hole in the film. First as Ruth's demeaning nemesis at Harvard. He's the dean of Harvard Law School. And then when he's Solicitor General of the U.S. and one of her primary opponents when she takes on her pivotal trial. It's flat. It's a little by the book, but, it's well-meaning, and that counts for something, I suppose. We'll wrap up with the film I liked way more than the rest of these, Stan and Ollie. It stars Steve Coogan and John C. Reilly, and it's another biopic, this one about the professional partnership and deeply personal relationship between what is probably the greatest comedy duo of all time, Laurel and Hardy. Some may complain that this focuses too much on the sad end of their legendary career. I thought it was sort of a bittersweet treat, and my favorite here of the movies I'm discussing. And it does have an opening set of sequences about their Hollywood heyday with Danny Houston as overbearing producer, the Golden Age great Hal Roach, and also about their tumble from the heights of stardom, because it's going to segue to a later comeback tour of live performances in the UK where they were still adored. And this lets us see them kind of on and off stage as they try to keep the act together while their friendship is severely tested. Every aspect of the production and direction, the art direction, the pacing, the script, etc., all done with care and passion. But what really makes this work for me are the performances of Coogan as Laurel and Reilly as Hardy. They thoroughly capture the essences of the duo. I don't think I've seen Coogan give a better performance than as Laurel, conflicted, the creative driving force of the act, and Reilly, who's in seamless prosthetics. I mean, it didn't look bogus to me at all, and he does a brilliant job. He's in all ways the good-hearted, fragile, but driven Hardy, who is kind of the soul of the duo. And you get Nina Arianda and Shirley Henderson as their loving wives, Ida and Lucille, and they're just as good. The Scottish film and TV director John S. Baird, who did Filth and Babylon and also directed an episode of I'm Dying Up Here, he was in charge of this. Good show. And it's so funny, again, like Carell, Reilly has a movie that came out within a week of this, that being Holmes and Watson with Will Ferrell, and the less said about that abomination, the better. I mean, it's nothing sadder than an unfunny comedy. What do you got, buddy? What have you been watching?
Well, I've been watching all my screeners from SAG for the SAG Awards, and we are amazed this year by how bad some of the films are. And yet these people get nominated. Of course, in my case, the nominations are for acting and for cast, and they're not for Best Picture or whatever. And some of the real disappointments, as I said, Vice was a real disappointment. We expected it to be way better than it was. We were also Mary Poppins Returns is maybe the worst thing I've seen in years. It is boring. It is dull. It goes nowhere. The music is flat. The direction is uninspired. And Emily Blunt is trying her best to be prim and proper. I mean, it's just a terrible movie.
So far, but it really tried to repeat the other film, the original Mary Poppins, did a half-assed job.
Exactly. I think it's the best way of putting it. We watched Bohemian Rhapsody. What a waste of time that picture is. You'd do better by just going and watching performances by what's his name from Queen. It's like okay, now we're going to do another song, and now we're going to do another song. Well, just show me the original. I don't need to see.
The script is not up to the topic, frankly, and the portrayal of the other members of Queen, like, it's almost non-existent.
Yeah, it's kind of like a tribute band. The whole thing, it just didn't work for me. Then two films which I think are just terrific, and this person would also get my vote for Best Actress of the Year. Who would you think that was?
I couldn't begin to guess. You're a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, it's a great movie. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Can You Ever Forgive Me? Just a great film. And her performance,
right? Her best performance.
Yeah, her performance is just incredible. And people are always amazed. Oh, hey, how can a comedian do a good acting job? Hey, comedians are better actors than actors are when they try to be comedians. Okay? So it really, I'm not surprised that she turned in just a tour de force performance in this film. The other film we really liked was The Green Book. Again, two terrific performances in that film by, I'm trying to remember the guys' names, Viggo Mortensen
and Mahershala Ali.
Mahershala Ali. And it's really just two really fine performances wrapped in a well-written, well-directed picture,
One of the Farrelly brothers, of all people.
Now, our big, of course, Mary Queen of Scots sucked.
Yeah.
And then this is the one we, of course, are going to disagree on. We sat there watching this and saying, great performances by three great actresses involved in a film that is badly written and badly directed. The Favorite.
I disagree with you, but that's fine.
Well, why do you disagree? It's terribly directed. The photography, the use of extreme wide-angle lenses gets a little boring after a while. The script goes really nowhere, but the actresses somehow make the best out of what they've got and do a rather terrific job.
I thought it was a well-written movie. I thought it was well-directed. I thought it was very prickly. I had a lot to say about a lot of different things.
Like what? Like what? What does it have to say about anything?
It deals with, first of all, it's very much to me like All About Eve. It has that kind of fascinating thing about interpersonal relationships, women trying to kind of dominate other women. It has a lot to say about gender roles. It has a lot to say about politics. It has a lot to say about the way things work when there's a weak person in charge of a government, how someone will come in and actually be the power behind the throne. It's funny. It made me think a little bit about the relationship between George W. Bush, and Dick Cheney. The relationship between the Queen Anne character.
Well, you're reading more into this movie than you should. That does not come across. Okay, maybe you read into it, but and we sat there and scratched our heads because this was the first film we went to because we were expecting so much out of it.
Yeah, not your cup of tea, but I wasn't reading.
No, it's not that it's not my cup of tea. It's very much my cup of tea. That's why we went to it first.
Well, when you say reading too much, I'm reading what's in it, not too much of what's in it. But, the truth is, I do agree with you on the other two films, even if we disagree on this one. If people want to see my list of best movies and the reasons why, they can go to marinatimes.com right now. My column covering the best of 2018 is there. And any TV stuff, buddy?
No, not really. Of course, we had the Doctor Who New Year's special, which was, I thought, quite terrific. And now we're coming back with a lot of other stuff. Gotham is back on. Let me see what else is back. Anything else? Nothing amazing though.
Obviously,
Oh, Luther. Luther is out there.
Yeah, Luther's latest season debuted, I guess, on New Year's Day, and they're rolling out the episodes. I enjoyed the Doctor Who episode as well. I can't believe that they're holding back the show for an entire year before they give us any more new episodes. Jodie Whittaker was finding her footing, and this was the most fun episode of the season, I think.
Why are they waiting a year?
I have no idea. It's a production issue, perhaps, but the next new episodes will be in 2020.
Oh, wow. Well, who knows if I'll live that long. So anyway, but I thought all in all, very good season, and not disappointing at all. Okay, well, I think what we should do is play the music, and you can tell them where they can find you. Oh, where? Wait a minute, you're having, all of a sudden you're breaking up. Go ahead, tell them.
Twitter at Culture Blaster, and on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page.
Oh, okay, that's it for Michael. That's it for the movies this week. There's more coming up on GABNet if you are listening to our 24/7 feed. And we'll see Michael next week.